Hey guys, today we're going to solve paper 1, first variant of IGCSE paper code 0580. And this is the May June 2024 paper, the latest one. So let's see what this paper was. The first question says write 0.8 as a fraction. So in order to write 0.8 as a fraction, we first move the decimal one place to the right. So when we move the decimal one place to the right, what happens is that we add a 10 in the denominator. So it's 8 over 10. 8 over 10 can be simplified as 4 over 5. And since we can't further simplify 4 over 5, so that is your final answer. Then it says write 28% as a decimal. So let's write 28% as a fraction first, which is 28 over 100. Same concept. Assume that there's a decimal after the whole number, so over here. So this time we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left side because we're getting rid of the zeros in the denominator. So that's going to give us 0.28. Then it says write 4,876 correct to the nearest 100. So that's basically 8. So we have to round 8 with respect to the number on the right-hand side, which is 7. Since 7 is greater than 5, so that means 8 will become 9. That's going to be 4,900. Next question says, measure the length of the line AB in millimeters. So for this, what you will do is you will take your ruler, measure the length, and obviously that length is going to be in centimeters. So what you will do is, let's say this is like 6 centimeters, supposedly. So we know 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. So if it's 6 centimeters, that's going to be 6 times 10, and that's 60 millimeters. That will be your answer in the case AB is 6 centimeters. If it's something else, like obviously based on that, you'll multiply that by 10, and you'll have your answer. Question 3 says a travel graph shows the journey of a bus. Find the distance the bus travels in the first 50 minutes. So from here to here, it's 60 minutes. So this is going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 over here. Which means if we draw a line from here to here, we can see that in the first 50 minutes, the distance traveled is 10 kilometers. Next part is find how long in minutes the bus is stationary. So in order to figure out where the bus is stationary, we will have this flat stagnant line over here. When no distance is being covered, that means the object is not moving. Hence, the object is stationary. So now to find out how long it's stationary, we draw a line down here. And we can see that since the division, each division is for 10 minutes. So this is another 10, 20, 30, and 40, which means it has been stationary for 40 minutes to be exact. Next question says, write down the order of rotational symmetry of a rhombus. So a rhombus basically looks like this first. All sides are equal. So if you're rotating this point over here, next it's going to look like this. Then it's going to look like this. So right now this is a 90-degree rotation. This over here is a 180-degree rotation. Then this is a 270. And lastly, this is a 360. So as you can see, it regained its original shape 1 and 2 times. So the rotational order of symmetry is 2 for the rhombus. Question 5 says the diagram shows a shape on a 1 centimeter square grid. Find the area of this shape. So let's count the full squares first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now by the remaining squares, this can be added with this. So 10, 11, and this together, so that's 12. So we have an area of 12 centimeters square for this shape. Work out 28 minus 16 divided by 2. So a board mass question. Always remember that you do division first if there's like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division over here. So we divide first, that's going to give us 8. And then 28 minus 8 is 20. That's your answer. Then find the reciprocal of 4 over 5. So when we talk about the reciprocal, basically we're talking about flipping the fraction. So we swap the numerator with the denominator and vice versa. So it's going to be 5 over 4. That is your answer. Question 7 says the temperature on Monday is negative 37 degrees Celsius. The temperature on Tuesday is 15 degrees Celsius higher than on Monday. Work out the temperature on Tuesday. So if it's higher, that means we're going to add 15 to negative 37. And that's going to give us negative 12 degrees Celsius. Question 8 says draw all the lines of symmetry on this shape. So let's start with that. We can see that if we draw a vertical line that equally divides the shape, if we draw a horizontal line, the horizontal line also equally divides the shape. We draw this diagonal. That also equally divides the shape. And if we draw another diagonal, that also equally divides the shape. So we have 4 lines of symmetry for this shape. Question 9 says diagram shows 2 sides of parallelogram ABCD. Find the coordinates of D. So if we look at the horizontal and vertical distance between B and C, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 units over here and 2 units vertically. So same concept will be applied when we start walking from A. We walk 1, 2, 3, 4 units horizontally, 1, 2 units vertically. So now if we connect the points, we can easily see that this is a parallelogram because these 2 sides are parallel and these 2 sides are also parallel. So coordinates of D are negative 3 and 7. Question 10 says total surface area of this cuboid is 369 centimeters square. Work out the value of H. So now to find the surface area of a cuboid, what we do is we add up the areas of all the surfaces. So if you look at the top and bottom, that's basically 15 times 6. So 369 is going to be 2 times 15 times 6 because we have 2 similar faces. Plus, if you look at the faces on the side, this and this one, that's going to be 2 times 6 times H. And now the front and back, so that's going to be plus 2 times 15 times H because all of these are H. So now that we have an equation, let's further simplify it. 369 equals to 2 times 15 times 6, which is basically equal to 180. This is 12H, and that's 20H. So now 369 minus 180 equals to 42H, which is basically going to be 189 equals to 42H. And when we divide the two, we get 4.5 centimeters for the value of H. Question 11 says, Geeta has a box of toys. She picks a toy at random from the box. the probability that she picks a wooden toy is 0.6. Work out the probability that she does not pick a wooden toy. So probability of not wooden toy is going to be 1 minus 0.6, which is 0.4. The reason why we're subtracting it from 1 is because like the probability of the entire thing happening is 1. So in this entire thing, either she can pick a wooden toy or she can pick a non-wooden toy. So if we know the probability of her picking the wooden toy, we can easily find the probability of her not picking the wooden toy by subtracting the probability from 1. Next part is the box contains 3 types of toys: wooden, plastic, or metal. So we have the number of plastic and metal, which is equal, and then we have the probability of wooden, which is 0.6. We already found the probability of it not being wooden, which is 0.4. So which means since the number of plastic and metal toys are equal, so the probabilities are also going to be equal. So we divide 0.4 into these two, which makes it 0.2 for each category. Now to find the number of wooden toys, what we do is we will find the total number of toys first. For the total number of toys, we know that 14 divided by the total gives us the probability of 0.2. Let's say for the plastic one. So for total, we divide 14 by 0.2. And that is going to give us 70. So if the total number of toys are 70, wooden is going to be 70 minus twice of 14. And that's equal to 42. So we have 42 wooden toys. Question 12 says the table shows some information about two sequences. So we have sequence A and sequence B. They're asking us to find the fifth term for both the sequences. So what you will do is you will just substitute n equals to 5 in both the nth term equations and find your answer. So for the first one, P5 is going to be 60 minus 4 times 5, which is 60 minus 20, and that's 40. For the second one, T5 is going to be 5 squared minus 300, which is 25 minus 300. That equals to negative 275. So this is 40, and this is negative 275. Question 13 says, find the quarters of the point where the line y equals to 3x minus 5 crosses the y-axis. Now, this is a keyword that it crosses the y-axis at this point, which means x is going to be 0. Why? Because if it's crossing the y-axis, that means it's a y-intercept. And the y-intercept x value is always 0. So we're going to put x equals to 0 in this equation. And we have negative 5, which means our answer is going to be 0, negative 5. Fourteen says by writing each number in the calculation correct to one significant figure, find an estimate for the value of 28.2 minus 5.6 divided by 4.2 times 1.68. You must show all your working. So 28.2 correct to one significant figure is basically 30. 5.6 is 6. 4.2 is 4 and 1.68 is 2. So 30 minus 6 is 24. 4 times 2 is 8, and 24 divided by 8 is 3. That is your answer. Question 15 says, factorize completely 36x squared plus 40x. So let's break down 36x squared and 40x into its factors. We know 36 is 4 times 9 times x and times x. 40 is 4 times 10 times x. Now we can easily see that between these two terms, we have 4 and x common, which means we take 4x common. This side will be left with 9x plus 10. That's your answer. Question 16 says, Question 16 says that the diagram shows a rectangle with length 3x minus 12 and width x plus 7. Find an expression for the perimeter of the rectangle, giving your answer in its simplest form. So perimeter basically is your boundary of the entire object. So if this is x plus 7, this is also x plus 7. And if this is 3x minus 12, this is going to be 3x minus 12. The perimeter is going to be the sum of all of these lengths. So P equals to twice of x plus 7 plus twice of 3x minus 12. And what we will do next is we can just expand the brackets. 2x plus 14 plus 6x minus 24. Collect the like terms. So 2x plus 6x is 8x and 14 minus 24 is negative 10. And that is your perimeter of the rectangle in its simplest form. Question 17 says, a diagram shows a circle, center O, P lies on the circle. Write on the mathematical name of the line OP. So when your distance is starting from the center and going towards the circumference, or like the boundary of the circle, whatever you call it, that's basically your radius. If the distance was going from one point on the circumference to another point on the circumference while passing through the center, then that would be the diameter, which is twice of the radius. Next, it says draw a tangent to the circle at P. So tangent is that line which is always touching the boundary of the circle. It's never, crossing from between the circle. It's always touching the boundary. So this blue line over here, this is your tangent at P. Question 18 says find the greatest odd number that is the factor of 140 and of 210. So let's prime factorize 140 and 210. 140 is basically 14 times 10. 14 is 7 times 2 and 10 is 2 times 5. Now 210 is 21 times 10. That's 21 is 3 times 7 and 10 is once again 5 times 2. As you can see, we have 5 common and we have 7 common. And we know 7 times 5 is 35. So we can clearly see that 75 is the biggest odd number that is common between both 140 and 210. If there was a 3 in 140 as well, then we could have used that as well, multiplied that to 35. But since there's 3 only in 210, so our final answer is 35. Question 19 says, calculate the cube root of 343 minus square root of 40.96. So cube root of 343 is basically 7. And square root of 40.96 is 6.4. 7 minus 6.4 is 0.6. And that is your answer. Then we have 192 plus 4 times 16 to the power of 1.25. So remember the rules of BODMAS. You solve your bracket first, and inside the bracket, if you have like addition, multiplication, division, subtraction, you start with division, multiplication first, and then do the addition, subtraction. Hence, we first do 4 times 16. So 192 plus 64 to the power of 1.25. So that's basically 256 to the power of 1.25. And when you plug this in your calculator, what you should get is 1024. That is your answer. Question 20 says, find the value of 137 to the power of 0. Always remember, if anything is raised to the power of 0, the value of that term is equal to 1. Then it says 7 to the power of 12 divided by 7 to the power of p is equals to 7 to the power of 17. Find the value of p. So another indices question, just like the previous part. Whenever we have two similar bases being divided, always remember that you will subtract the powers. If you have two similar bases being multiplied, you will add the powers. So over here, it's going to be 7 to the power of 12 minus p. We combined it because similar base being 7 over here, they're being divided, so we will subtract the powers and combine it as a single power. And now, as you can see, we have the same base on both sides, so that means we can easily put the powers equal to each other. And that shows that the value of P is -5. Question 21 says, calculate 1.827 times 10 to the power of 6 divided by 9,000, giving your answer in standard form. So let's rewrite this as a fraction. So you can just directly plug this in your calculator, and what you should be getting is 202.888. Like, it's a recurring gate, so I'm just using 3 decimal places right now. So now, since we have to give the answer in standard form, I'm going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. That's going to give us 2.03, I'm rounding this, times 10 to the power of 2. Why 10 to the power of 2? Because you moved it 2 places to the left-hand side. Next question says, solve the simultaneous equations and you must show all your working. So you can use either the substitution method or the elimination method to solve the simultaneous equation. If you want to use the elimination method, that's perfect, because like there's no single variable without like, like there's no variable which has a coefficient of 1. So it's ideal to just go for elimination method. I'm going to eliminate variable x over here. So to eliminate variable x, I'm going to multiply the second equation by 2. That's going to give us 6x minus 8y equals to 34. So now we have these 2 equations, and we can easily solve them simultaneously using the elimination method. Since we're eliminating x over here, I'm going to subtract the 2 equations because the sign of x in both the equations is positive. So in order for me to eliminate it, I need to subtract them, because if I was adding them, x wouldn't get eliminated. It would still be there. So to eliminate x, we will subtract the 2 equations. 6x minus 6x is 0. Negative 8y minus 2y is negative 10y. 34 minus 29 is equal to negative 5. So now y is negative 5 divided by negative 10, and that is basically positive 1 over, sorry, this is positive, and that's going to be negative 1 over 2. That is y. So now to find x, we can substitute this value into either of the equations. I'm going to pick the second one, 3x minus 4y equals to 17. So 3x minus 4 times negative 1 over 2 equals to 17. That's 3x plus 2 equals to 17. 3x equals to 17 minus 2, which is going to give us 15. And we know that 15 divided by 3 is basically 5. So x is 5 and y is negative 1 over 2. Next question says, change 9.6 kilometers per hour to meter per second. So we know 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters, and 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. So to change 9.6 kilometers per hour to meter per second, we will multiply 9.6 by 1,000 and divide it by 3,600. Which is basically going to equal to 2.67 meter per second. That is your answer. Question 24 says these are the first 5 terms of a sequence. So the sequence is 11, 18, 25, 32, and 39. Find an expression for the nth term of the sequence. So for the nth term, first you see whether there's a common difference or not. 18 minus 11 is 7. 25 minus 18 is 7. 32 minus 25, 7, and again 7. We can clearly see that there's a common difference of 7 between each of these terms. So always remember, whatever your common difference is, multiply that by n. And since the common difference is being added, so it's going to be positive 7n. If the common difference was being subtracted, like if the series was like decreasing in value, then it would be negative 7n. So let's assume that the nth term is 7n. So if we find the first term based on this, what we get is 7. And over here, the first term is 11, which means the nth term has to be 7n plus 4. So now if we find the second term, 7 times 2 plus 4, we can see that's 18, which is the same as the number in the sequence. Let's try another one. You find the fourth term. That's 7 times 4 plus 4. So that's 28 plus 4, and that's 32. Once again, it matches with the sequence. Hence, the nth term is 7n plus 4. Question 25 says that the diagram shows a shape made from a triangle JKL and a semicircle with the diameter JL. JKL is an isosceles right angle triangle with JK equals to JL, which is 12.8 centimeters. So as you can see, we have a composite shape over here, which is made from joining a semicircle and a right angle isosceles triangle. They're asking us to calculate the area and the perimeter of this shape. So for the area, we need to be familiar with two formulas. Area of a semicircle, which is basically pi r squared over 2. And then we need area of a triangle. 1 over 2 times base times height. So we can see that JL, which is the diameter, is 12.8. So radius is going to be half of the diameter, which is 6.4 centimeters. So we'll do pi times 6.4 centimeter square divided by 2, which is basically going to give us 64.34 centimeters square. Now for the area of the triangle, height is 12.8, base is 12.8, so times 12.8 squared. And that is going to give us 81.92 centimeters square. So now for the total area of this shape, we'll add the two areas. So that's going to be 81.92 plus 64.34. And that is equal to 146.26 centimeters square. That is your answer. Now for the perimeter, we will talk about the boundary now. So boundary is basically this semicircle and these two lengths. For the semicircle, we find the circumference, which is going to be pi r. Why pi r? Because the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So 2 pi r divided by 2 is pi r. That's pi times 6.4, which is the radius that we found in the previous part. And that is equal to 20.11 centimeters. Now, talking about the perimeter of your triangle, we have 12.8. We don't know what KL is. So since it's a right angle isosceles triangle, if you remember the special triangle case, if the lengths are equal and it's a right angle, so this is going to be 45 and this is going to be 45, which means this length is 12.8 root 2. Once again, if the angle ratio is 45 is to 90, Then for the length is x is to x is to x root 2. Since x over here is 12.8, so we multiply 12.8 with root 2 to find the value of KL. So perimeter would be 12.8 plus 12.8 root 2 plus 20.11, and that is equal to 51.01 centimeters. That is your final answer.